It's an important day for the British GT Championship. 2 one-hour sprint races here at Oulton Park. And that means if you do well in both, it is a big bank raid of points that you can take away from the Cheshire circuit. Welcome everybody to race 1 of 2, to round 3 of the British GT Championship. David Anderson trackside, a dry track. It was bright and sunny this morning, if a bit blustery. It is getting ever more overcast, and there is a threat of rain for this afternoon that might strike the second race at perhaps the most picturesque circuit that we come to, Oulton Park. In the heart of the Cheshire countryside, a fabulous driver's circuit. It's not the widest in the world, and that makes negotiating GT3 machinery around here always a challenge. But we had 2 dramatic qualifying sessions on Saturday that have determined the grid for each of the 2 races. Lots of fans are here, many of whom are being treated to a grid walk, and while they're there, they'll not just see cars, they might well encounter James Baldwin and Bryn Lucas. And let's go to Bryn on the grid.
Yeah, and I'm scared to say, David, but they might encounter some rain as well. You know what it's like here. It changes all the time, doesn't it? It's great to see such a good turnout here at Oulton Park, as we always get. And as you said at the very top there, it's so important, such a big points haul with these 2 one-hour races. And after race 1, that sets the grid for race 2 when it comes down to compensation penalties. But of course, with qualifying happening 2 days ago, there's a bit of ring rust that needs to be shaken off, you'd imagine, from some of these drivers. Who's your money on, though? Who are you looking at?
Feeling that it could well be a Barwell day. Rob Collard, Hugo Cook at the front for this race. Alex Martin, Sandy Mitchell for race 2 is looking good. But Charles Dawson and Cian Dewis have been so impressive in the previous 2 races. They will carry a little bit less weight, 25 kilos of extra weight rather than 30 at Silverstone. They're still going to be mighty competitive. I'm tempted to say, really, as a cop-out, Bryn, GT3 is wide open.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget Johnny Adam and Giacomo Petrobelli. James Blake Baldwin, different driver. James Baldwin's next to me here. How are you doing? Now, you won here on your debut, so you're only 1 better than me with 1 victory around Oulton Park. But, well, what is it like around this place? Because, you know, yesterday, or 2 days ago, in fact, you referred to this place as a mini... Exactly. Yeah. So tell me what it's like.
Well, it's not the ideal track to make your debut because there's no runoff. So you
Note
just
yourself.
Exactly, yeah. You can't push it that extra, 20 metres in the braking, because if you do get it wrong, you're in the barrier. So I think that's why you see more of a build-up here with the drivers. It takes 2 or 3 laps to get up to speed, even for the pros, compared to like Silverstone, where they could go out and be on it from lap 1. There's just no margin here, but at the same time, that makes it interesting and fun, because it is, high risk, high reward. So
it certainly is. Now, you raced last night, didn't you, in the gaming platform, the world's fastest game as you are. How does it translate from real world back into the gaming world and vice versa?
Close. Like
really?
95%. It's obviously the physicality is different, and there is a few physics things that aren't realistic on the game versus real life. But generally, the skills transfer, and I've not been the only example of that. There've been plenty other gamers and sim racers who've transferred their skills to real life seamlessly. So yeah.
Old Hall going down the hill and towards Cascades as well, that's particularly tricky with the camber as well. So when you come from the rig into a real-world car, it must be that sensation that's the huge difference. Is there a way to prepare from one to the other?
No, you're right. The elevation, you just don't get that in the sim.
Yeah.
I guess it's because it's on a 2D screen, so that does shock the system a little bit. As you say, Cascades, or even on the exit of the last corner, going down and up, it's a bit of a weird feeling, but once you do a few laps, you get your bearings, and then you're sort of there, really. So yeah.
You were racing last night before you came here today.
I've been tired today.
I know, and you went backwards as well, didn't you? So it wasn't the greatest result for you. Sorry to bring that one up just there. I've just spoken to David and asked him who his money was on. He was saying Barwell. Is there anyone else we should be looking at that you think might be a bit of a surprise? Morgan Tilbrook, for example, and Marvin Kirchhofer, they're starting way back down, and Morgan has really struggled this weekend, he said.
Yeah, I think the McLaren's not great here this year, but I think it's either Mercedes Lambo or Aston, maybe the Porsche if it rains later. So I would say, David's nicked my guess, but I was going to say Barwell for both races actually, but I think the Aston is a dark horse with Petrobelli and Adam. So yeah.
Mercedes have also done well around this track, and there's the Nearies. We shouldn't forget the Nearies and the 2Cs pair with Dawson. I know they've got that little bit of extra weight because of how rapid they are as well, but they're starting at slightly out of position, you'd say.
They were only 6/10 off in quali, but yeah, starting 10th, it's a surprise, because the Mercedes is strong around here, because their teammates, Gertz and Say, are on pole for race 2. So I don't know what's going on in that camp this weekend, but maybe it's the compensation weight of 25 kilos is hurting them around here.
I know there are a few track limits issues as well, because they're doing it slightly differently around Oulton Park as well. Rather than using sensors, it's done by eye as well.
Yeah. the year I did it, it was sensors and it was black and white. In fact, I had provisional pole until they looked at turn 1 and I got a sensor track limit. So when it's judge of fact, you can sometimes get away with it because obviously human error comes into it. But should be interesting. I think we'll see a lot of track limits, to be honest.
You drivers like to come up with different excuses all the time. I think I've heard all of them. There's not a new one out there. But Morgan Tilbrook was saying to me earlier on as well that he was running wide using the full width of the runoff there, but not realising that the runoff was off the track.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I think in this championship, it's if all 4 wheels are beyond the curb, it's a track limit. So in other championships, it's the white line, but in British GT, it's the curb. So just so the viewers know, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, listen, we are about to get ready. The cars are coming out onto the track. You can see the grids forming now. You've got to get to commentary, so I'll let you run that way and go the long way. You're youthful, so you've got the legs for it. And we're going to go this way. Thanks very much there to James. And we'll go a little bit further back and speak to some drivers. We should be starting to see a few. A man who always likes to make an appearance on the grid is Ricky Collard. He's here. Here's Harry George. We'll grab him a little bit later on when we head down towards the GT4 lineup. They're starting a fair bit back because we've got to get through all the GT3s first of all. Just glancing around right now, David, and we have got some drivers around here, but at the moment it's fairly quiet. In fact, I say it's fairly quiet. Hugo Cook is here. Hugo, we're waiting for your teammate to pop in, for Rob to pop onto the grid itself. It's been a great start for you this weekend, and for you in the championship, different points to Rob, so you've got you're very much the eye on the prize where Rob doesn't.
Yeah, hopefully you can get a good start. I think that's the most important thing, and I think we've got a quick car this weekend, and as you
don't get run over.
Yeah, don't get run over. And yeah, he maximised qualifying, so hopefully he can build me a bit of a margin. Obviously, we have no pit stop penalty like the Aston next to us, so I think we'll have a good race.
When it comes down to a championship push, consistency is key. You don't always have to win the races, and you've had a pair of 6s, which means you've not had any pit stop compensation time. The 2 1-hour races are very different to what you've had so far this season.
Yeah, it's a bit more like sprint racing, obviously. The Mercs got a big lead, getting 4 points. But yeah, I think if we can get a good win today, we can kick-start the season.
And it's your local. Can you get more local than this?
I'm 5 minutes away, if that. So it'd be nice to win it. It'd be good.
Wouldn't it be just look? Good luck. Thanks very much indeed. There you go, Hugo Cook, and there is Ricky talking to his dad right now. Tears from them last time out. Let's go for a little bit of a walk. Tears last time out they were here, but they won around the circuit. Ricky cries quite quickly, it seems, but anything sets him off. Johnny Adam, well, let's hope he'll be having tears of happiness come the end of this one. Johnny, we're just talking about track position and what it's like around this place here. Your season, at the beginning of the season, you were saying that the eye was very much on the championship, and it hasn't gone to plan to start with, but you are in a great position now to get a move on with the championship points.
Yeah, this is an important day for us, really. 2 races, quite a lot of points up for grabs, and qualifying's been quite good. We've got 2nd for this race and 5th for later, and car feels really good round Oulton. We've done a lot of work and testing on the build up to this round, but it's very close. I think you saw in qualifying yesterday, between the 4 Ams in front, they're less than a tenth separated. So it's going to be a tight race. We have to have a clean pit stops. We've got seconds in this first one, but the goal today is to try and get a couple of podiums. That's the goal, and see what the weather does, because I think we've ran through about 3 different forecasts and they're all saying 3 different things.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's going to rain. I'm going to put money on it raining. You are, as you know, I hate the word, but the winningest driver, equal winningest driver. Are we going to lose that tag today and just be winningest on your own?
I would love to. Yeah. It's not, to be fair, I don't think of it. I think of more Giacomo, getting them as fast as I can and doing the team thing. And yeah, if we can win today, it'll be lovely. It'll be a big thing for us for the championship for points. We're a little bit behind the curve just now, so today is important to be consistent. I think if the weather does turn, it's very slippy around here at times. So being clever today, scoring points is the ultimate goal today.
You are a clever man, we know that. Good luck. There you go. Johnny, let's go for a little bit of a stroll as well, and we'll take a little bit of a look down the grid, because we were talking about Dawson being slightly out of position. I mean, slightly is the optimum word. They are starting here, so the 2nd row, so not far back at all, and they are currently doing pretty well in the championship. Let's go a little bit further back though to Barwell, staying on the left-hand side of the grid, so starting slightly out of position, you'd have to say, and Sandy Mitchell's here as well. So Sandy having a few final words there with Alex in the car, starting out of position, we're saying.
Oh yeah, I mean it was extremely close in qualifying, especially with the front 4. And everyone did a really good job. So yeah, I think Alex will, like you say, sort of be looking more forward than backwards, hopefully, in the beginning of this race. And yeah, we know it's difficult to overtake here, so the start will be crucial.
second and a 7th for him so far this season. The 7th means you have a great opportunity when it comes down to pit stop compensation time.
Yeah, we've not got a penalty coming into this race, so I think a couple of the cars in front do, so we could do with it being quite congested before it cut with the pit stop window and try and get sort of top 3, top 4 in this race, and then we're starting well up on P2 for the race later today. So yeah, we're in a good position, we're happy, and we know we've got a good race car, so we'll see what we can do.
Good luck, good luck. Well, I'll tell you what, Adders, rain dance may be happening at the moment because I felt a few spots a few moments ago. I'm going to head down to GT4.
Look, as another local, it does not rain in this part of the world. It is glorious up here. Trust me, it's going to be a dry day, I hope. We are round about 6 minutes or so away from getting the formation lap underway. That last chance of getting some warmth into the Pirelli rubber. You're looking there at number 69, the Stephen Lake Jack Mitchell Lotus Emira that runs in GT4. Just to confirm one thing, if you joined us this morning for the warm-up, we were talking about the extra time GT4 silver entries have to serve. That's been clarified as 14 seconds, not 24, so it's not quite as costly as had initially been published. It is 14 extra seconds they have to serve, so the gap between the Pro-Ams and the Silvers in GT4 won't be quite so bad. That's a McLaren that's worth watching, the car that Marcus Klassen is going to share with Simon Orange, the sole Honda on the grid, the Bridger Motorsport car that's started by Chung Ip. But let's go back down to the grid. Aidan Neate, one of the stars of GT4 this season so far. He's with Bryn.
He certainly is, but he's not had the rub of the green, shall we say. It's been a great season and a terrible season in some ways.
Yeah, you know, what have you been so fast? It sort of makes those bitter moments that little bit worse. But, you know, back here at Oulton Park now, so it's a new weekend. Starting from pole in race 1, so let's see what we can do from here.
And no pit stop compensation time, but you are a silver pair, so the extra 14 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it'll balance itself out a bit more in race 1 now, so we know the pace is going to be strong. See if the weather holds off or if it's going to spice things up a bit. And yeah, hopefully without the success penalty, we'll have a strong race.
Good luck. Talking about the weather then, the eyes are very much to the skies. I wonder if over here we're looking eyes to the skies as well. Luca Hopkinson sitting in the car, Harry George alongside here. We are looking to the skies nervously. It should hold off for a dry race, shouldn't it?
Yeah, well, we hope so, and we think so, actually. So, yeah, race 1's meant to be dry. Race 2, maybe not so dry. But, yeah, we're in a good position, front row. Definitely need to capitalise on it from others around us having success penalties.
You've had an interesting season as well, much like you're pairing across the way here as well with a retirement and a good result last time out. But the championship needs a kickstart, and it feels like it has to be this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. We haven't had any luck for the first 2 rounds, and yeah, to really keep us in the championship fight, we need something big here. So hoping for it this weekend.
Best of luck. And we're going to go down a little bit more. I'm not sure how much time we have. Oh, I've got a bit of time, being told, to go and speak to Charlie Robertson. So it'd be good to get a word with him. Ravi Ramid in the car right now. They are second in the championship, a second place in the first race of the season, first last time out. So maximum when it comes down to pit stop compensation time. It's a hard one for you to get a decent result here. What would the aim be? 3rd, 4th, something like that?
It really depends. Obviously, we have the silver penalties as well. The car behind, the 90 McLaren, has a 7 second, so it's going to be close. Our plan is to try and stay out of trouble in this race, collect as many points as we can. If there's a result on the cards, we'll take it, but it's very much a points exercise this weekend and trying to get through unscathed.
When you put it like that, actually, you're in prime position. Okay, you've got 10 seconds in the pit stop compensation. They've got 14 seconds ahead of you, like you say, and 3 seconds alongside. So really, the deficit's not much at all, and you both have great pace.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. If it runs green, I think it helps us. The safety cars, which there always can be around here, then it might be a little bit different, but let's wait and see.
Lotus, McLaren and a BMW. It's nice to see 3 different manufacturers in the top 3 places.
Absolutely, it shows that the balanced performance is working well. To have these 3 cars, different manufacturers up the front, it's going to be an interesting season, and it's really fun to be a part of it.
We've been talking about engine position as well sometimes around here. Mid-engine seems to be the way to go when it comes to GT3, but also here, Aston's done well and Mercedes has done well around here, both front engine. You've got the engine sticking over the front as well, all the weight on the front. How different is that to drive around this place compared to, say, a mid-engine or even the rear-engine Porsche?
I think for us, the benefits in the middle sector, we can run the curbs a bit better than the McLaren and the Lotus. They have the legs on us sector 1, so that's where we found the benefit so far this weekend. To be honest, I don't know how we're going to fare when it comes to the racing element. It's obviously very hard to overtake around here being so narrow. So if an opportunity presents itself through a mistake from another driver, then we'll take it, but I think it's going to be hard otherwise.
Hard to overtake here at Oulton Park. Well, it's hard to overtake everywhere, isn't it? That's the driver's thing. We were looking at Monaco this weekend as well. That's very hard to overtake. Oulton Park's not quite so tricky, but it is tough. And these two, well, you wouldn't bet against them, would you? There you go. That's the grid, David. It's over to you now for the race element. And will it stay dry? I don't know.
Of course it will, I tell you. Trust a local, trust a native. So we have the grid being cleared. Ravi Ramyeed starts that BMW. Now, Charlie Robertson qualified in the second session on Saturday. It was a wet second session, and Charlie had a big moment, as you're about to see. It was quite a drama for him. So during the second session, track getting damper all the time, through Island Bend, and a big moment all the way across the grass, getting perilously close to the barrier, but he managed just about to avoid anything solid. Fingers crossed nothing like that happens in the next hour. Engines are fired up on the grid. The grid is now being cleared. Of course, there's that final formation lap. It's a rolling start, so one lap to get some warmth into the tyres. From up here, it feels nice and warm because the sun is shining. It's still quite breezy out there. So, James, you've just legged it from the grid. Wet yourself up a little bit on the run back. But in terms of what the drivers can anticipate, temperature-wise for tyres, for the track, what are we looking at, do you think? Is it going to be a decent track surface?
Should be a little bit cold, so I think a little bit more extra tyre prep on this warm-up lap. But as Sandy said on the grid, it's really important to start here because it's going to be hard to overtake, especially when it's a dry race like this. So first corner will be key for a lot of cars here.
Green flag lap underway then, as from pole position, Rob Collard accelerates away. Everybody now starts to set off in pursuit, and as James has just made the point, now an important chance to get warmth into the tyres. You might well see the weaving to generate the temperature and the pressures as well before we go racing. Everybody on Pirelli rubber, of course. Let's look at the grid then for the first race of the day. It is going to have Rob Collard on pole position. The best of those in GT4 Pro-Am, Ravi Ramyeed in GT4 Silver, Josh Miller in the Silver Am GT3 category, Chun Chung Ip, and in the Pro-Am and also outright pole, Rob Collard did the time. And you can see, of course, co-drivers shown there as well. But for the sprint races, it is one driver, one session, the other driver doing their time for the other race grid. So Rob Collard it will be on pole position. Giacomo Petrobelli lining up with him at the front with 5 seconds extra to serve in the pits. Kevin Say, winner here in the past, starts third. Charles Dawson fourth on the grid with 10 seconds to serve, the championship leader. Simon Orange and Alex Martin lock out row 3. Row 4, Mark Smith and Duncan Cameron in the Sol Ferrari. Richard Neary is on the 5th row of the grid alongside Morgan Tilbrook. He's got 7 seconds extra to serve. Then it's Chun Chung Ip and Andrew Howard, who is, whisper it, the oldest driver on the grid at 61. Mike Price comes next. He had a spin in warm-up this morning. Nick Jones a long way back to round out GT3 before you get to Josh Miller. GT4 pole position and 14 seconds to serve as a silver. Same true for Luca Hopkinson, who will line up alongside. Then Ravi Ramyeed, who's got 10 seconds of success compensation time to serve. He lines up alongside Mark Warren, who's got 7 extra seconds. Chris Solkeld is next. He's got 19, 14 for being in a silver-graded car, 5 on the success of Silverstone. Stephen Lake lines up alongside Ian Duggan's Lotus. Will round out the grid. Oulton Park is a glorious circuit, especially in the sunshine. It is pretty rare that it is not the opening event of the season for British GT, but it was felt after last year's bad weather and so many interruptions through safety cars and accidents that the opening round ought to be somewhere where the drivers, as they're learning about cars, because they're new to the championship in many cases, had a bit more breathing space. The decision taken to move Oulton Park's event to this end of May bank holiday, and the weather gods are smiling on us for now as they come then behind the safety car, the leading car, down towards Lodge Corner. The road drops away on exit. You climb up Deer Leap, pit entry on the right-hand side. But the drivers, one car, that's the safety car getting out of the way. The drivers are going to be focused on the lights, as now the lights are switched from red to green. We go racing at Oulton Park, and it is going to be Rob Collard versus Giacomo Petrobelli. Petrobelli was ahead. Rob Collard fights back on the inside line. Petrobelli gets roughed up, and somebody else going really wide. That looked like it may have been Charles Dawson, but as they drop down towards Cascades for the first time, Rob Collard has managed to get away. Petrobelli back up the inside to go second. It's Kevin Say in third place, but that could have been a rather messy start. James, they just about got away with it.
They did. Collard looked hard but fair, but definitely showed Petrobelli the door at turn 1. But other cars behind just looked like they didn't want to give up the outside line and just ran onto the grass. So chaotic start, but thankfully everyone's still in the race.
But what you can't say in a 1 hour sprint round Oulton Park is that you've got time to fight back, and with a punctured tyre already in trouble is Andrew Howard. He's stopped on the Foster's link, and Andrew Howard's race effectively is over, because by the time, even if they can get it back to the pit lane, they're going to be off the lead lap, and that is a dreadful start to the day for Andrew Howard, sadly. So it is Rob Collard leading from Giacomo Petrobelli, from Kevin Say in 3rd. Simon Orange is 4th. It's Charles Dawson 5th, and Richard Neary 6th, as you ride on board now with Duncan Cameron in the Ferrari coming out of Knickerbrook. Now the climb up Clay Hill.
Yeah, Neary, just with my own eyes, had an amazing start. He had such momentum on the cars ahead, and I think he's gained a few places in the process of having that good start. But yeah, a shame about Howard retiring so early on. The perfect start for Collard, you know, tough racecraft at the beginning, but that's exactly what you need to do around Oulton Park. He's got the track position, he can now break away, but the Aston's quick. I think that Petrobelli could stay with him.
You're right there about Richard Neary. 9th he started, 60 runs at the moment. As you look at GT4, heading now down towards Lodge Corner, Ravi Ramyid ahead in the class at the moment from Josh Miller, and then look at Hopkinson in 3rd place as they make the run up Dear Lead. Now the race leading gap has come down, hasn't it, Giacomo Petrobelli? Now that the tyres are a little bit warmer, he's a bit more confident, so he's going after Rob Collard, and he's taking the Hong Kong driver Kevin Say with him. And look, already those 3 are starting to get away, aren't they, from Simon Orange?
Yeah, and I think that goes to show the McLaren has been struggling all weekend, and Orange has done a good job to be that far up the order, to be fair. But the 3 quick cars, the Lambo, the Aston and the Merc.
Let's have a look at the start. Rob Collard did seem to get away a little bit slower than the Aston, but then they go side by side. Have a look further round, because as others go bouncing over the grass, there is Andrew Howard and Nick Jones. The Aston and the Porsche rub together. They're all in a big dust storm, and I think it was possibly in that incident that there was contact, and that's why Andrew Howard's car is stranded on that Foster's cut through. And more drama now. That is Josh Miller. That was the car that was on pole position in GT4, and that has ground to a halt coming down towards Island Bend. That looks mechanical.
Yeah, these Mahiki Lotuses are so fast, but it just seems like they just lack that reliability and that sort of bulletproof ability to get to the end of the race. And such a shame, but maybe in race 2 their luck will change.
Now let's hope that car is not in a place where race direction needs to suspend things and move it, because right now you're looking at the cars coming to the end of lap 2 with Rob Collard having built a really good lap to get away. 84 Lotus then sadly out of the race, out of harm's way. The gap then just under 0.6 of a second coming over the timing line. But it's rather elasticated, though, this gap for the lead, isn't it? Because at certain corners you think Rob Collard's getting away. At other parts of the racetrack, the gap has come down again. That's 4th place car, Simon Orange. In 5th behind him is Charles Dawson, heading to a yellow flag zone. Marshals have quickly moved that Lotus out of the way, but they need to get back on post. So even if you thought about overtaking this part of the circuit, yellow flag says you can't.
That's it. And we should be good. No safety car required, to be fair. But it goes back to what Charlie Robertson was saying about the different engine configuration of the cars. You know, the front engine cars are better in Sector 2. Sectors 1 and 3 is the mid-engine cars are strong.
Andrew Howard limping back to the pit lane. Have a look at Simon Orange, 4th. Bit of a wobble going through the chicane there, the Britain chicane, but he's closing, I reckon, back onto the top 3, and he's also coming under attack from Charles Dawson. So now we've got the leading 5 bunching up as they come down towards Hislops.
Yeah, Dawson coming through the field.
Can't drive, cannot drive, broken. Contact, or is it just a puncture? I see you have a puncture rear right.
So that's the team radio, I think, from the Aston Martin of Andrew Howard, talking about the damage and the puncture on the rear right. So Rob Collard, race leader, comes down now towards the Lodge corner right-hander, and again go back to this point of elasticity. 4th place Simon Orange has dropped off the back a little bit now, despite the fact he was closer early on. So this is starting to show us maybe where different cars have their strengths and weaknesses around the circuit. Andrew Howard is going to rejoin, but he's going to be 2 laps down. Race control have looked at the start. There's no drama there, so the start was all good and fine. That going through in 7th place is Alex Martin. What's going on with Simon Orange? Because, as I keep going on about, certain parts he looks close to the leaders, and then you have another look and he's dropped back.
Well, for anyone that watched the Monaco Grand Prix yesterday, you would have seen not being able to overtake is the most incredibly frustrating thing as a racing driver, and I think Dawson's about to experience the same thing behind Orange, because he's clearly a lot quicker. He's coming through the field very quickly, as you'd expect as the championship leaders. but it's just so hard to overtake in the dry around Oulton Park.
So is Simon Orange closing and they're having to sort of back out a bit so he's in some clean air maybe and let the tyres have a breather?
I think everyone's flat out, to be honest. Okay. I think it's just a pace issue, yeah, from the McLaren.
One to watch. Now, what about this in GT4? A lead change beckons because you've got the BMW of Ravi Ramyeed only just ahead of Luca Hopkinson. They are nose to tail up towards Shell. Keep one eye on this, one ear on Bryn, who's got news from the pit lane.
Yeah, thanks, Addis. I've got to say, I was just talking to Mahiki, to Chris Emery, and also to Aidan Neat. They're very, very disappointed. Gearbox failure, transmission issues, but gearbox failure seems to be the cause of that one. That's caused the retirement of the 84. When will they get some good luck? It seems to be bad luck after bad luck, doesn't it?
Does indeed. The only good news is there's another race to come. It's not that it's one long race they are out of. They're out of one, yes, but another race beckons, although they've got to work on the car and try and get that done for race 2. You're still on board then here with Luca Hopkinson. You're in a McLaren, you're chasing a BMW, and it's nose to tail for the lead of GT4. Now let's ride with Luca Hopkinson, heading up Clay Hill now, heading towards Druids, James.
Yeah, and if you saw the first chicane, the amount of curb that BMW took compared to the McLaren was insane. But Sector 3, medium high-speed corners, this McLaren comes alive compared to that Beamer, just the way the cars differ. So you can see he's closing in a little bit. The dirty air will still be there to an extent in GT4, not as much as GT3, but yeah, a very intense battle for the lead.
It indeed. Now, the BMW has got the grunt. You've got the sort of touring car shape of the BMW against the aero-friendly McLaren. And the BOP, as Charlie Robertson said to Bryn on the grid, working well to equate them as they come across the line. The margin is just 0.4 of a second. Now, third in GT4 is the Mark Warren-driven McLaren here. Mark Warren, who was a real star in the Porsche Sprint Challenge in Caymans, having moved up from Ginettas, and he's adapted to GT machinery just as effectively, and he is catching up onto the tail of these two. Of course, if Ravi Ramyeed has to really go defensive, that's going to hold up both him and Luca Hopkinson and throw a lifeline to Mark Warren.
Totally, but the other thing to take into account here as well is that P2 is a Silver Cup car, so they've got to serve that 14 seconds at the pit stop. So at this rate, they're going to be way off Ramyeed and Warren, those cars in the second half of the race.
Which means, therefore, that Luca Hopkinson is going to have to really push on to try and not only get ahead, but clear as much as he can and way up onto two wheels there. Wow, that's going to put a load through the car on impact.
Yeah, GT4s generally, compared to the GT3s, will be able to absolutely mount that curve, but that Beamer can just take an absurd amount of curve. It's crazy to watch.
Flick their way through the Hislop chicane into Knickerbrook, fabulous old corner, real landmark of Oulton Park. And then heading up Clay Hill. This in super slow-mo is the Ravi Ramyeed BMW hitting the curb. Rough Swift two-wheeling. Yeah, exactly. Wow. The engineers, you can almost hear the groan from the pit garages, can't you, when they see that? No, Ravi, don't do that to our lovely car. But he got away with it.
Yeah, the other thing as well, that bollard only seems to last about one lap, and then it's gone for the remainder of the race. So I don't know why they keep putting it back, to be honest. But
right, bit of opposite lock needed by Luca Hopkinson here. He is riding shotgun, hasn't he? He's right on the back of the BMW as they come across the line. The lead gap, by the way, 0.6 of a second between Rob Collard and Giacomo Petrobelli at the start of this lap. In third place, Kevin Say, and then fourth and fifth have dropped back again, but their lap times are good. So it was 5 in a line. Simon Orange trying to make up that lost ground. He's not there yet, but he's doing his level best to get back onto terms. And there is Charles Dawson. Remember, that car is heavier because he is a very quick bronze. Cian Dewis a very quick silver. And the championship organisers have decreed that because of their outstanding pace, they should just ballast up the car 25 kilos, so the weight kind of offsets their pace.
It does. And it's worth saying there's some quick bronzes at the front of this field. The quickest lap of the minute from Simon Orange, 34.9, is only 1.1 seconds off the race lap record. So when we get the pros in the car, I think the track conditions are fast. So we should see potentially a new record.
Simon Orange, fastest lap of the race. Interesting that, because we've been talking about him dropping back, but he's having another push to try to catch back up to Kevin Say. But as they come across the line, he's still over a second adrift. Interestingly, the incident at Old Hall on the first lap, incident such as it was between Collard and Petrobelli when they rubbed, has been looked at, but I can confirm no further action. So, as James called it, hard racing.
Yeah, and, you know, Rob had the inside, he was on the racing line, he had more grip, and to an extent, it was hard, but there was room for Petrobelli to go on to the exit road, and, yeah, no harm done, and we continue.
Now, there is Charles Dawson, winner at Donington. Took maximum points at Silverstone in the 500, and here a little bit stuck in 5th place. But Petrobelli is on a mission all of a sudden, look, because he's much closer to the Barwell Lamborghini of Rob Collard. Coming out of his lots now, Petrobelli, you can certainly tell has intent here. The way that he attacked at Old Hall Corner on lap 1 rather proved that. Fast forward to the second stint, you're going to have Hugo Cook versus Johnny Adam, which is fascinating. And Kevin Sayers dropped off the back of the top 2 and has now been caught by Orange and Dawson. You look there at the Silver Am leading Honda. Class of its own, effectively now, with Andrew Howard's Aston being 3 laps down. Chun Chung Gip at the wheel of the car. He's raced in monoposto single-seaters, for example, before coming into GT3 this year. And in GT4, it's still a battle at live, isn't it? Because Luca Hopkinson is giving huge amounts of pressure to Ravi Ramyi right now.
As we'd expect, the McLaren closes in on the BMW in Sector 1. I think we'll see the BMW gap the McLaren a little bit in Sector 2. We're coming up to that very scary first chicane, and let's have a look at this BMW completely go over this curb. It would have been great to stay on board there, but he's very close. I mean, to be fair, we're watching a silver against a bronze, so that could explain the pace differential between the McLaren and the BMW.
Ravi Ramyi, bronze, as you say, an experienced bronze, used to race in the original Shape 3 Series BMWs in the one-make production BMW Championship, had a few years away, came back into Ginettas and has then catapulted his way up into GT4. Very, very quick driver indeed, and he's got Luca Hopkinson behind him. Mark Warren not yet being able to catch, although he is edging a little bit closer. The track limit warnings, by the way, are coming, so one driver on a third warning already is Ian Duggan in Lotus number 88. Well, a 4th offence is a penalty.
Drive-through penalty, yeah, which is really harsh at this track because it's a 40km/h speed limit. So Morgan Tilbrook as well on 2 warnings out of 4, sorry. So he's not leaving Marvin Kirchhofer much to play with. And it's easy to get round here, especially at turn 1, turn 3 and the last corner. It's so easy just to get a bit more on the exit and bang, you've got a track limit.
And the point, just to illustrate, is that it's not a track warning tally per driver, it is per car. So you don't just have it reset at the pit stop, it is for the car for the hour. So if your co-driver racks them all up now, such as number 88 is, with the driving standards flag being shown, Ian Duggan, you're giving your co-driver absolutely no leeway whatsoever. Let's keep an eye on this GT4 battle. Best battle of the race potentially in the minute. Luca Hopkinson has now been shadowing Ravi Ramyi for certainly 3 laps, but he's not really been able to make a move. He's got the pace. You get the feeling, were he ahead, he'd be able to drive away, but he just can't find a gap.
And this is mission critical because in certain scenarios you think, right, I'll stick behind the guy in front, let's go together. But in this case, Hopkinson needs to get past and build that gap because they're going to have that massive compensation penalty at pit stop for being a silver combo. So his race at the minute is being ruined by being stuck behind Ramyi.
But what he can't afford to do is a full send, a real do-or-die type manoeuvre and risk any damage. There was a bit of a gap there, but it's not an opportunity coming into Knickerbrook. Bit of opposite lock again as the power kicks in. The car is spat towards the curb, up underneath the footbridge, past the water tower, and then up towards Druids. And there, in fact, the BMW just a little bit further ahead. The danger in this is Mark Warren in 3rd place. Just keep an eye to the 3 of them, because there's Mark Warren there in the background is far more in shot than he used to be. In other words, sooner or later, Luca Hopkinson is going to have to defend his 2nd place, not just attack for the lead.
Yeah, and this is very interesting for the championship because obviously Ramyi and Warren, those cars are tied on points. Oh, McLaren off. Is that the first chicane?
Tilbrook, isn't it?
Yeah, on the exit.
Yeah, so Morgan Tilbrook has dropped it coming out of the Britain chicane. Good news is he's able to rejoin, but that will cost him quite a lot of places. So Morgan Tilbrook was 10th. We'll double check in a moment where he's dropped to. There are your GT4 leaders, where you've got still, of course, the Pro-Am leader ahead of a silver car, and then it's another Pro-Am entry in GT4 of Mark Warren, catching all the time as they go to Island Bend.
Yes, as I was saying, the BMW and the McLaren in 3rd are tied on points. So at the minute, they're just finishing every race 1st and 2nd. So what order will it be today? At the minute, it's advantage BMW. Here we go. This is the McLaren going off at the first chicane. So mid-corner, gets a tank slapper, and yeah, it's just going round. There's no saving that. And he's trying to save it. You can see the front wheels turning left. He's trying to catch the oversteer, but that is all she wrote. And off onto the grass, not ideal. Loses a lot of place and a lot of time.
And another McLaren in strife. Yeah, that in Old Hall Corner is Simon Orange out of 4th place. He's had a spin. He's not quite dropped it onto the grass, but he hasn't been able to keep the engine running. So now race control give him time to try to get going. Now, was he pushed? Did he fall? That looks like contact to me. That was Charles Dawson up the inside, and that's going to get looked at.
It is. He was quite a long way up the inside. It looks like the McLaren's already defending. It might have been a bit late from Dawson. It'd be good to get an angle from his POV.
Well, I'm afraid to say that that for Simon Orange spoils the race. He will drop down the order. Here you've got all up the curve, Luca Hopkinson, who you can tell is putting huge amounts of effort into this. He still can't find a way past Ravi Ramyeed. And bearing in mind that Ravi Ramyeed is the lower graded driver, he's doing a brilliant job of soaking up all of this pressure, isn't he?
Yeah, that was just pure frustration, I think. Right, I can't get past this guy. I need to push even harder, so could lead into some overdriving and some mistakes, as we saw there. That would have been very close to a track limit as well. So track limits, even if you don't gain time, it's just literally, if you've gone off the track, that's it. You get a warning.
And indeed, now Luca Hopkinson has picked up a track limit warning as you look at Kevin Say in third place, having now been able to escape from the sister car of Charles Dawson. Kevin Say has done the fastest lap of the race. A couple of laps back, so he is lapping quicker than the two ahead of him. That means he's getting a little bit nearer to Petrobelli. This race is going to be absolutely crucial in the pits, isn't it, to determine who comes out ahead. Remember, that Aston Martin has an extra 5 seconds to serve, whereas Collard and Say have no extra time. So again, mission critical for Petrobelli, just like you're talking about Hopkinson here in GT4. Petrobelli needs the lead and a 5 and a bit second gap. Right now in GT4, Ravi Ramyeed in the world's widest BMW is still being monstered by Luca Hopkinson, who is getting really fed up staring at the back of the M4.
That's probably a good point as well. If you're in a Beamer that's so big, it's harder to get past. Say if he was in a Lotus, it might be a bit easier for Hopkinson to make that move. So, but yeah, even though there is such a pace delta here between the two cars, they're running wide on the Exeter Druids as well. You just can't get past. You need such a big delta between the two cars, or you need the guy in front to make a mistake. And at the minute, Ramyeed's just not making a mistake.
He's doing a grand job. We understand that it was a mistake from Simon Orange at Lodge Deer Leap that cost him the time that enabled Charles Dawson to get close enough to make that ill-fated move heading down towards Old Hall Corner. So through turns, Ravi Ramyeed, Luca Hopkinson behind him, still 1-2 in GT4. Back on board with Luca Hopkinson now as they make that run again through Denton's, drop downhill into Cascades, down through the gears. 4th gear corner for Luca Hopkinson. Gets the power down, so does Ramyeed ahead of him.
Yeah, and this is a good run here. He might be close going into Shell. Once we go through Island Bend on the left here, if he can carry more minimum and then maybe stick out the inside, nah. Good defending from Ramyeed, yeah. And if he doesn't make a mistake, there's nothing Hopkinson can do. It's just one of those tracks.
He's doing nothing wrong, is he, Ravi Ramyeed? The way that he's defending is absolutely perfect and fair. Up towards the chicane. Let's see whether we get the stunt driving antics from him again. Yep, bang up the curb, and so also does Hopkinson. But Mark Warren is getting closer and closer and closer and closer. So Hopkinson now is going to have to be oh so creative, because don't forget, we're heading towards that pit window. The pit window for the GT4 cars it just starts slightly later than does the GT3 pit window, but as the leaders come once again through the right-hander of Knickerbrook, you've still got the McLaren of Ramyeed ahead in GT4, Luca Hopkinson behind, and then in third spot the ever-closing Mark Warren as they make that run up the hill once again.
Yep, so GT3 pit window opens in 3 minutes, and then the GT4 one will open 6 minutes after that. So it's all gonna start happening soon, and Warren is in the window now. If Ramyeed's team have a mistake in the pit stop, he will just leapfrog him. So it's really important for Warren to stay as close as possible behind Ramyeed, even if he can't get past.
Through the GT4 traffic come the race leaders. Kevin Say, I'm afraid, couldn't quite get past Chris Solkel there, who moves across, has to take the line for the corner, but the Mercedes just compromised as he comes now out of Deer Leap. So, lead gap in the traffic is up to 9/10 of a second. Kevin Say, 9/10 back from second place to Giacomo Petrobelli, and Charles Dawson is absolutely charging along, isn't he, in 4th place. He, last time through, lapped quicker than those ahead, but he hadn't caught up with the back markers. Now he has, so this lap might be slightly affected by Charles Dawson, but released from behind Simon Orange by whatever means you term them. He's charging, he's flying, and he's going to be a factor.
He will be, and as you say, the traffic does play a massive factor. You know, who can get lucky with it, who can manage that better, and sometimes you just can't do anything about it. The traffic hits you exactly the wrong point. It gives the car behind an opportunity to overtake, and that might be the only way to get past someone here at Oulton Park.
Mark Warren closing on Hopkinson, and they're all going to be caught in a minute, aren't they? The GT4 lead battle by the GT3 lead battle. This could be doubly important here. Giacomo Petrobelli coming up towards Hislops. Big flash of the lights from Rob Collard, thinking, I don't need you now, with about a minute and a bit to go before that pit window opens. You can guarantee these GT3 drivers are going to be in early to bail, partly because of the traffic, but partly because they want their quicker co-drivers to have maximum time behind the wheel. Hugo Cook with his back to you in the white overalls. Sandy Mitchell with his back to you, standing there as well. Kevin Say thundering on, trying to play catch-up against Giacomo Petrobelli. Rob Collard comes out of Druids. He's got the GT4 traffic up the road. Mark Warren keeps out of the way. Look how much closer Warren has got to Hopkinson. Collard gets up the inside. Petrobelli can't go through. Mark Warren has to take the line for the corner. This is where it's really heart in mouth if you're a GT3 driver.
It is. I think this lap will see pretty much every GT3 dive for the box. Maybe someone who feels like they're very quick, like Dawson, might go an extra lap. But as you say, you want to get the pro in straight away. You can see the traffic really ruining a lot of the GT3's race there. But so this is a battle actually in GT4, isn't it?
It is, and Mark Warren has gone by. He's taken second, so Luca Hopkinson, who's just picked up a track limit warning, loses out. Mark Warren was able to benefit from Hopkinson giving way to the GT3 traffic and going through. Now, the team manager of Charles Dawson's Mercedes, there, going up the inside. Ravi Ramyudi's off the road, and the GT4 leader thunders into the barrier. Big damage. That is going to have to trigger a safety car. I was about to say that Charles Dawson's team manager has been summoned to race control after that incident we saw at Old Hall. But bigger news is the GT4 leader, having done an outstanding job, has made an error, and Ravi Ramyudi's out of the race, and that was a big impact because there's not much runoff there.
No, there's not. I thought he was going to do what his teammate did in qualifying and save it, but he almost did as well. But just that front engine weight just rotated and he couldn't save it. Big crash. Hopefully he's all right.
We're going to go full course yellow. Peter Daly, the race director, calls for a full course yellow. That means everybody has to slow down straight away. You get the race under control sooner than deploying the safety car. Everybody slows down, and then if we need to, we can get the safety car out there. But for my money, that might take a little bit of clearing up, because you could see the impact. It flung open the passenger side door. There was all the frontal damage. There's even a question as to whether that car might be out for the second race. That looked like a big hit.
Yeah, good point, yeah. So will we see a lot of cars box here?
Well,
we might.
The pit window is open.
It is open, isn't it?
Yeah. So
it'd be silly not to, wouldn't it? It's like a VSC in F1, isn't it? It's, you've got to utilise that as much as you can.
Especially if you've got the extra time to serve. So yeah, Petrobelli with his 5 seconds, Charles Dawson with his 10. You would think this is the absolutely perfect time for that to happen. Full course yellow here at Oulton Park. Well, it was a pretty dramatic first element to the race, and now you'll only really have GT4 cars on track, I guess, won't you? Because as James made the point earlier, every GT3 will now come to the pit lane.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning as well. So the cars look like they're going very slowly under full course yellow. They're going 80 kilometres an hour. In the pit lane, they have to half that and go 40. So they're like walking pace if you walk quickly.
Arriving there, Giacomo Petrobelli, Johnny Adam rushes round. And that car, remember, has to serve an extra 5 seconds. This car, it can be the regulation pit stop time and get out the other side. It's 100 seconds line to line in GT3. So from the pit in beam to pit out, 100 seconds. Now, of course, the reason we've got this full course yellow is because of this incident. Ravi Ramyud is okay. He's out of the car. So Ravi Ramyud, after a big impact, is okay. Good to see. You can see the liquid on the ground, the debris on the ground. Nathan Freak's Century Motorsport team would have looked at that and thought, oh, right, okay, this could be a long job. But fingers crossed that will be out for later on in the day, because it will start on pole, should start on pole for race 2 after Charlie Robertson's efforts. Right now, you've got to get on with your neighbour in the GT3 pit lane. Andrew Howard in to give way to Tom Wood. And it's going to be the number 1 Lamborghini Hugo Cook at the wheel of it, just ahead of Maxi Goetz now in for Kevin Say. This is going to be interesting. Johnny Adam will be in 3rd place. Another car coming in is the McLaren number 3, Mike Price for Callum McLeod, and then Cian Jewis in 42. Second stint. We don't know how long it's going to be, of course, with this full course yellow still in operation, but it's going to be a really interesting one.
It will, and I think Jewis has been the surprise of the season, certainly from where we stand. And, although he's a silver and he's up against golds and platinums, he's definitely held his own so far this year. So he's definitely in the mix for the overall, maybe a podium in this race. I think the win might be a bit of a stretch, given you can't overtake at Oulton Park. But
well, you never know, because incidents can always happen. Penalties can always happen. The Neary's Mercedes there you're looking at. Just to go back to Charles Dawson and that contact with Simon Orange, the team manager summoned to the stewards. Well, I don't think that is to say, did you have a nice day off yesterday? I think the stewards are about to present a piece of paper that will have a penalty written on it. So if I were Cian Jewis, I'd be mindful now that not only do I want to push to try and win the race, but I might have to push even harder because there could be a penalty lurking in the system somewhere.
Totally, yeah. And as you said earlier, I think it's going to be quite a long full course yellow, which will translate into a safety car. So we could be under this for a little while. It was a messy shunt. There was lots of debris everywhere and a high-speed corner as well. So
there was kind of two elements to that. There was the first, as we saw it, the first bit as the car is being moved. There was the first bit of running wide onto the grass, and then a second incident, if you like, where the back switch ends and he spat across the road. We'll have another look at it, as you can see the damage at the front. So this is the onboard looking from Luca Hopkinson.
Yeah, so this is when he let the GT3 pass, he actually lost the position to Mark Warren, didn't he? So with the traffic situation, you always assume that the GT3s are the ones that are most affected, but the GT4s do. It's a skill to be able to let a faster car through efficiently.
So he's let the faster traffic go. He's also lost out to Mark Warren. That is Charles Dawson going by, and right now, as the GT3 cars go up the inside, that forces Ravi Ramyeed offline, and he runs out of real estate, and then, wait for it, bang, comes across the road, and Luca Hopkinson did a good job to miss him.
He did. You can hear the debris as he runs over it, but yeah, he was offline on the marbles, didn't have the same grip as he did online. As soon as you go on the grass, it's just game over. There's just no grip out there, even more so in the wet, but yeah, a big shame for them.
Big hit. Richard Neary in and Alex Martin in, a lap behind everybody else. Now, the Nearys can't instantly answer it. Maybe Barwell thinking we'll split them and give ourselves
more room,
extra space in the pit. Yeah, that you can understand, but it's going to be interesting to see whether that's the right or the wrong call, isn't it?
Yeah, and it can get messy in pit lane and you can lose time. So it's not a bad strategy. You're not going to lose any time under full course yellow. Even, you know, a pro and a bronze driver will be exactly the same pace under full course yellow. So could be a good play. Let's see where they feed out in a minute.
Yeah, the danger is you might not lose much time because a safety car would bring you all back into the game, but you might lose track position, and that's round here going to hurt. So at the moment, it is Hugo Cook, the race leader. Maxi Goetz, Mercedes-AMG factory driver, second. Third place is Johnny Adam there in the Aston Martin. And then it's going to be Cian Jewis in fourth place. And I reckon that Sam Neary and then Sandy Mitchell behind are going to remain fifth and sixth, which is where they were before the pit window opened. So they've not really lost out at all in that, even though, as we've made the point, they've pitted a lap later than the others.
Not too bad, yeah. And speaking of Sandy earlier, he said his ideal weekend would be P4 in race 1 and P1 in race 2. Knowing how unrealistic it is to say, right, we're going to go out and win both races. You just can't do that with the pit stop compensation times. Although it's been done before, it's very rare.
And if you think P4, that's not very ambitious, well, the benefit of that is you don't have any extra time to serve. So get good points, but no compensation time to take into the next race. That's the thinking, isn't it?
Yeah, and you got to say you can't fault that. You know, when's the last time that's been done? A double victory in a sprint weekend.
I knew you'd put me on the spot.
Go
Thanks.
on.
I'll get back to you. Gosh. I don't think it has for a long time. Let's just have a quick look at the Honda while I put my anorak on. And,
well, it's even harder around here because you can't overtake. There are other tracks where there's sprint weekends where it's a bit easier to overtake, so there's a more realistic chance of it happening.
Now, the Honda NSX, that has had the driver change, has it not? So we've put into that car now Luke Garlick, graduate of the Ginetta scene. The race has 31 minutes to go, and they're coming up towards the incident zone. The drivers, of course, all being told to keep to the inside line there, so marshals have more space to work, and also so they don't run over any of the debris. GT4 pit window is now open. Remember that in GT4, now Mark Warren is the leader because he passed Luca Hopkinson when the GT3 traffic was going by, and then he found himself in the lead after Ravi Ramyeed went off the road. So it was a double bubble lap for Mark Warren.
Indeed. This could be a huge day in the GT4 Championship with Warren potentially, that car getting 25 points and then Ramyeed 0. You know, that's hard to get back.
Now, Mark Warren has 7 seconds to serve. Luca Hopkinson behind has 14. but I'm assuming we'll go safety car at the end of this full course yellow period, so that extra length in the pits will kind of be negated. Safety car bunches you up.
Yeah, for those with compensation time, it's ideal, isn't it? But yeah, we definitely need a safety car. We've had full course yellow for at least 5 or 6 minutes now, haven't we? Absolutely clouting the board on the way in, but hit his marks, and pit stop looks like it's going well so far. Such a stressful situation, pit stops.
Really?
Yeah. The driving's the easy bit.
Because you've got everything. You've got to get the car to the right place, turn things off, leave things on, unplug this, help your co-driver get in. 17 stays out then. So that inherits the lead of GT4. The Optimum Motorsport McLaren doesn't pit, so there's space in the pit lane for the sister car here. We're talking about the McLarens trading places. They're teammates as well, or around by the same team, if not mates. So right now, Luca Hopkinson finally finds himself in the lead of GT4. He couldn't pass Ravi Ramid. He lost a place to Mark Warren, but at least for one lap, that's going to be the lead car.
And as a result of the Optimum car pushing Ramid so hard in that first stint, you could say he forced him into that error, because, you know, when someone's not comfortable, they do push that little bit more, and it does lead to mistakes. So, yeah, it wasn't in vain. Him being so close behind him for 20 minutes might have been the difference.
It almost seems unfair, doesn't it, to a sense, that as the safety car is now on track, we will go safety car. Ravi Ramid was trying to be polite and get out of the way of the quicker drivers.
Too polite, almost.
Exactly, and then put himself in jeopardy, and you've seen the outcome. So we're under full course yellow conditions, but we will go safety car. Lorna Vickers, very experienced Formula Ford 1600 racer, is on track with the Lotus safety car, and that is not a happy sight. If I were Nathan Freet looking at that, I would think we ain't going to get that cured by the end of the afternoon.
Well, you're right. How long is there? 3 hours until race 2? So
it starts at 15:50, all being well. So yeah,
that's going to be touch and go, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Oh dear, Ravi Ramid will be mortified at that, knowing that it was his error and the car capable of good results. And to do it in race 1 makes it even more disappointing, because you've got no points at all.
Fingers crossed they get it fixed, because it would be a shame for the championship to not go on as it has been in GT4 because of that.
What Century will be wanting is to get the car back as soon as. Don't take it to Parc Fermé. Let us get hold of it. Let us get to work, or at least assess the damage and see what we have to do. They're probably already, from the vision that they've had in the pit lane, had a look at what parts they might be needing. Big frustration. Now there is Johnny Adam. He is running in 3rd place. Giacomo Petrobelli, good first stint. Brought the car in second. They had that extra 5 seconds to serve, hence they've lost the place. But I tell you what, Bryn, Giacomo was really committed off the start, wasn't he?
Really committed off the start, and bitterly disappointed as well. Frustrated too. Giacomo, you just told me that there was contact. We couldn't see it all that clearly from the wide angle that we had there, but on board you certainly felt it.
Yeah, I think I got the jump on Rob at the start, and then I was on the outside, clearly ahead going into turn 1. I think he just released the brake, and maybe he thought he was still doing touring cars, I don't know. But it was a fairly heavy sort of knock on the door. I knocked off the mirror, sort of knocked the car a little bit, but you know, we live to fight another day. But it's not the way we should be driving, really.
You were frustrated on Saturday when it came down to qualifying for a little mistake that you made down at Druids, but you've had a decent weekend, and for the championship yourself and Johnny, it's really a case of putting something together here, isn't it? So disappointed, but also there are positives.
Absolutely, which is why I had to really calm myself down and then just drive it's hard to overtake around here, so it's very important to collect the points. We're P3, I think, right now. After the pit stop, we had a 5-second penalty from Silverstone because we finished P3. So it's good points for the championship.
So all in all, so far so good, but you'd be happier if there wasn't that contact.
Clearly we would have been ahead, so I'll get over it, but I'll have a chat with Rob as well. I'll be fine.
Can we film it? Thanks very much, Giacomo. Thanks very much. There you go.
Touring car tactics, I don't know what he possibly means. Here's the replay of it. Have a look. Rob Collard on the inside line, takes his line for the corner. Giacomo Petrobelli on the outside. There's the rub, there's the mirror that flies. In fairness to others behind, Giacomo came off lightly. There were plenty on the dirt, weren't there? But bouncing his way back on track.
There were, yeah. In fairness to Giacomo, he's got a point. Rob didn't really leave him much space. He seemed to hit the curb on the inside, Rob, and then wash out, and then, squeeze Giacomo off. So at first glance, I was like, it's just hard racing, but it did look a bit rough. But clearly the stewards deemed it fine and no penalty.
While we're on the subject of touring car antics, a flag wave for next weekend's GT World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup Monza race, if you're a touring car fan, because Ash Sutton, 4 times a British touring car champion, is going to make his GT3 race debut for Paradigm, Darren Lung's team. Darren Lung, British GT champion. We are all fascinated to see how Ash Sutton gets on, having never raced a GT3 car before. He's tested and was really, really impressive at Zandvoort just a week ago today. So it's going to be fascinating to see how he gets on in race trim. Join us next week on the streams for GT World Challenge Europe and see how touring car star Ash Sutton gets on. Right now, full course yellow conditions prevail at Oulton Park. We've got 25 minutes and counting of the race to go. So these second stint drivers, because we've still got a safety car restart to go, they're not going to get that much real green flag time, are they?
No, what, maybe just under 20 minutes by the time this all gets underway. So I think Cook will be under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I don't think he's got, you know, the same GT pedigree, you could say, of Max Gertz and Johnny Adam. But that Lambo is quick, he is quick, so maybe he could gap Gertz, we'll see, in a very short amount of time.
Now, we understand that the Charles Dawson Kean Jewis Mercedes will have 10 seconds added to its race time for causing that collision with the Simon Orange McLaren. We've gone safety car now, so that is therefore good news to get the race back underway. So the safety car now prevails, and as I say, 10 seconds to be added on to the time of Kean Jewis and Charles Dawson at the end. The answer to an earlier question about winning both sprints. Sandy Mitchell and Alex Martin won both at Snetterton on the road, but then there was a post-race penalty for Alex for overtaking under a yellow flag. So we can't really count that, but it was the nearest that anybody can offer you instantly. I'm obliged to Sandy Mitchell's PR guru, Jim McGill, for dredging the fact out of his memory bank. Thank you.
Yeah, and I've just got some info myself. Apparently Morgan Tilbrook, a couple of weeks ago in testing round here, had a massive shunt and or an incident which, yeah, it sounds like that's he was not liking the feel of the McLaren on the rear. So that could be something to consider as well. You know, if drivers have bad experiences here recently, it can jeopardise their performance going into a race weekend. And at the minute, where are they? They're 11th, so but it's that McLaren, it just doesn't seem to be working around Oulton.
And Morgan Tilbrook had a spin, didn't he, early on? We saw that coming out of, I want to say, Hislop chicane.
Yes.
So we are now under safety car conditions. Safety car on track, ready for the restart. It's going to be in this time. So Peter Daly getting the race back underway as quick as he can. Why do we have to have a safety car lap? It is because the speed of a full course yellow is slower than the speed at which the safety car can run. Therefore, this gives them a lap to get tyres up to temperature and pressure again. It helps for a safer restart. No need for a wave by. We're going to go straight into the race, and it will be in this time. So let's just get the race order sorted out. It's Hugo Cook in the lead in the Lamborghini there. It is Maxi Gertz second in the Mercedes. In third, it's Johnny Adam. Fourth, it's Kean Jewis with a 10-second penalty to be added on at the end of the race. In fifth place, it is Sam Neary. And sixth is Sandy Mitchell as they come down towards Hislop's. We'll go racing at the end of this lap. Before we do, Bryn?
Just spoken to Les Jones very quickly at Century about the car for Ravi Ramid and Charlie Robertson. Are they likely to get out? He says 50-50. Century always do what they can to get the cars out, but he's only 50-50 chance at this stage.
All right, Bryn, thanks very much for that. I suppose the one saving grace is they could at least start from the pit lane. Don't worry about getting it to the grid. If you just start from the pit lane, you buy yourself another 10 minutes or so. Don't worry about the countdown on the grid. Keep working, keep working. They're going to be near the back anyway because it's the GT4 part. Okay, they give up pole position, but if they can join the race from the pit lane, they're in the race and can get points. We're going to go racing again at Oulton Park with just over 21 minutes on the clock. Hugo Cook there at his local circuit, weaving his way down towards Lodge Corner. Safety car will pull off. The lead driver then has to control the pack. It's going to be fascinating this to see how Maxi Gertz gets on relative to Hugo Cook. You've got a young gun of GT racing against a Mercedes AMG factory driver. Green flags fly, racing again then as they come out of Deer Leap. And is Maxi Gertz on his toes to make a move at Old Hall Corner? No is the answer. Johnny Adam runs third. Challenge there. Sven Muller trying to get up the inside of Matt Griffin. Sven Muller new to Oulton Park. Matt Griffin, winner here over a decade and a bit ago, comes down now into Cascade. Sven Muller thinks about the inside line. Not room enough for a Porsche then.
Yeah, he's looking racy, Muller, isn't he? But I thought Cook went a bit too early, and that's why he looked like he was under pressure going into turn one. But the Lambo had good straight line speed, and he still kept the lead, which is good.
Certainly did, as Hugo Cook comes out of Shell Oil's corner. Now remember Donington, when Maxi Götz left the pit lane, and very wide there goes Sandy Mitchell going through Shell. Was that a little mistake? I think he's regrouped, but he went very, very wide.
Where Ramy went off, obviously they've tried to clear it up, but there's still a lot of dirt in that section, which is where I saw Sandy. I think he caught the dirt and just went wide, so definitely slippy in that area of the track. Drivers will have to be careful.
Okay, now let's just go back to my Maxi Götz point. Remember Donington, first round, Kean Jewis there getting up the inside of Sam Neary, was able to drive away from him. There's confirmation of that penalty going to 42 Mercedes. My point in this is that Maxi Götz was not able to go with the race leader and actually drop back behind Sandy Mitchell. So now you've got the race leader, Hugo Cook, ahead of Maxi Götz in second place, but Götz has got to make that move and move quickly. There you've got Sam Neary then on the back of number 42 of Kean Jewis. Now we'll see where that penalty drops them come the end of the race. Right now, Jewis can only push and push and push. At the moment, the gaps are virtually non-existent because of that safety car restart, but in 19.5 minutes' time, the gaps between cars become more relevant to put that penalty into play. For the race lead, Hugo Cook then has managed to stave off the challenge of Maxi Götz for one full lap, the 0.6 of a second between them. Johnny Adam is third, and there, Sven Muller has cleared Matt Griffin, look, and he's on his toes now to get up past Martin Plowman.
Yeah, the Porsche in Muller's hands looks really racy, looks really quick, and good to see actually. The Porsche's been nowhere all season, so it's nice to see them looking like one of the quickest combos out there.
The team manager of 86 being summoned to race control. That's the Honda Bridger Motorsport team, and also the Nearys are under investigation for the full course yellow procedure. Oh dear. Meanwhile, on track, Sven Muller attacks Martin Plowman. Up front, Maxi Götz is trying to attack Hugo Cook, but I reckon Hugo has stabilised that gap. If anything, he may have stretched it just a little.
Yeah, he looks comfortable. Yeah, he looks comfortable. I think in the GT3 Championship, a big moment there for Muller going into the first chicane, but the GT3 Championship looks so open now because you've got Dawson and Jewis with the penalty. You've got Kirchhoffer and Tilbrook way down in 11th. So it's definitely opened the door for a few other cars to get back on terms with them points-wise.
Indeed so. Riding with Matt Griffin then as he accelerates up Clay Hill. So for the race lead, Hugo Cook in the first sector fractionally slower than Götz, but demonstrably quicker by 0.2 in the second sector. So Maxi Götz is not going to find it easy to score a victory in this race because Hugo Cook is being able to withstand the pressure. Now, this is Matt Griffin down towards Lodge Corner. 10th is the Ferrari. Race leaders getting away. Johnny Adam is markedly falling off the back of the top two at the moment.
Yeah, 1.1 seconds off Maxi Götz. So this is going sort of how I expected it to. I expected the first Barwell car to win race 1. I expected the 18 Merc to be second or third. They're going to have a penalty in race 2, and they start on pole in race 2, so a Barwell victory.
1 second stop-go penalty for a short pit stop, car 86.
Okay, car 86, that's the Honda being given that 1 second stop-go penalty for a short pit stop. Fastest lap of the race now done by Hugo Cook. He's got a clear racetrack ahead of him, but that's impressive stuff. And Maxi Götz does not seem to have an answer to him. Here they come down towards the Britain's chicane. Don't forget, Maxi Götz, factory Mercedes AMG driver. Hugo Cook, local kid, does good. Very rapid GT racer, but he is certainly not at the Maxi Götz level, but he's showing him the way home at the moment.
He is. You can see in the first chicane there, the GT3s just don't take the same level of curb as the GT4, which is quite interesting. But yeah, Cook holding his own at the minute. They're not going to experience any GT4 traffic for at least another 10 minutes. So yeah, on board with the Honda right now.
There it is. That's the car that's got that 1 second stop-go for the short pit stop. Now, what's going on in GT4? The answer is that Jack Brown, who's taken over from Mark Warren, is the class leader from Harry George, number 17, sister car. And then behind is Jack Mitchell, who we know is a very quick driver, whether it's been in GT4, whether it's been in touring cars, whether it's been in one make. He is next in the queue, and there is Brandon Templeton. He's fourth in GT4. Now, Pro-Am being led by Jack Brown, and the silver part of GT4 by Harry George. So Optimum have got a 1-2, there they are, and 2 class leads.
Yeah, looking good for them, isn't it? I think they would prefer the Pro-Am car to win for the sake of the championship, as they're very much at the front of that. But even the silver combo being that far up with the deficit they have to pay in the pit stop, that's a mega result for them if they can get it across the line.
And Jack Mitchell doing a good job third in that Lotus. We are kind of willing Mahiki Racing to have some good luck. The nearest full course yellow procedure is going to be looked at after the race. You're on board now with Harry George coming down towards Old Hall Corner. And this for the race lead. That looks to me as though Götz is a bit nearer.
Yeah, he's starting to put the pressure on, but as we know, catching is one thing, overtaking is very, very much another, and that dirty air in GT3 will be very tricky to navigate, but as you said earlier, factory Mercedes driver, he'll know exactly what he's doing. He's been quick all weekend as well. Pole in race 2, fastest lap in the race so far, 34.1, which is 0.3 off the race lap record, so yeah, he's on it.
Now, don't forget, Maxi Goetz is an absolute star around the Nordschleife. And what did James Baldwin say on the grid about Oulton Park? It's a mini Nordschleife.
It is.
So does that kind of ability in his armoury help him now attack Hugo Cook? Well, he's still got to make up the better part of a second as the penalised Honda fends off Sven Muller in the Team Parker Racing Porsche. Then Matt Griffin. Great to have Matt and Duncan Cameron back in the championship this year. You're on board with the Ferrari. Matt Griffin's view down to Lodge.
Yeah, so trying to brake late, nibble the curb on the inside, and you can see all the cars struggling for traction on the exit. But again, all the Honda's boxing, so that releases Muller now to catch the cars ahead.
Does indeed. So that's for the stop-go penalty. Sven Muller round Old Hall Corner. Now the next target for Muller will be Sandy Mitchell, who is 3.6 seconds up the road, but now released. Sven Muller is just going to charge. Absolutely on the limit he will be. Behind him, Griffin, Kirchhoffer, Callum McLeod in the green McLaren, and we've got 14 more minutes of the race to go. The lead gap has come down, but Johnny Adam in third place has now done an absolute best in the first sector as he tries to play catch-up once again.
Yeah, last lap he was 0.6 slower than Maxi Goetz, so that Aston in the hands of Johnny is not quite there pace-wise, is it? Which is surprising, because the Aston did look really fast in that first stint. So, yeah, and the Honda has served its penalty.
I wonder whether the Aston is a legacy of the contact at turn 1, because Giacomo Petrobelli talked about an impact. If it's just tweak things ever so slightly, maybe the car not doing what Johnny wants it to do. He's banking points in third place. He's got the Kean Jewis Mercedes behind. Now, of course, as the gaps start to widen, that penalty for Kean Jewis becomes less of a problem. He's 5 seconds already ahead of Sam Neary, and by the end of 13 more minutes, assuming we get no more safety cars, he can have stretched that even further.
I think it's 0.8.
Sorry.
So let's see,
right.
Where does 5 seconds would put him 3 places back at the minute, I think. So,
okay.
Yeah, he might be able to gap Muller though, but Muller looks so quick.
Yeah, he wants those gaps to stretch in the remaining time. You're quite right. As here for second in GT4, Jack Mitchell now gets onto the back of Harry George. Down they come into the chicane at Hislops. And Jack Mitchell, more experienced a driver, been a GT4 champion in the past, been a star in China GT, now hustles on behind. It's good to see the Lotus going so well. And don't forget, of course, that the car that Jack Mitchell is in is a Pro-Am entry, so he took that over from Stephen Lake, the man behind the Mahiki Racing team. And Jack Mitchell is throwing everything at this, isn't he? Whereas perhaps other drivers were a bit more cautious in their stint. He is into the car now. He's got to let the faster GT3 Honda go, but then defending was Harry George. He doesn't need to. He's putting himself in jeopardy here.
To be fair, that did work for him. I don't know if he meant to block the GT3. I think he was focusing purely on Mitchell. But yeah, this race is not over though. The Lotus, if he gets past this McLaren quickly, the race win is on the cards. If he catches Brown and dive bombs him or something like that, the Lotus looks quick. And it's looked quick all season, to be honest.
Yeah, it has indeed. As long as that fragility can be ironed out. Car in its second year now. Last year, debut season, they raced in British and the European GT4 series did Mahiki. This year, concentrating on Britain and trying to move the project forward. 3 cars this year. So, Cook to Goetz, 0.9 of a second for the overall race lead. This is for second in GT4. Harry George keeping Jack Mitchell at bay. Jack clearly has got the pace because he's come hurtling up onto the tail of the McLaren, but he now needs to try to find a way by. Not easy around here.
No, and Hugo Cook last lap, 33.8, which matches the race lap record. So just to give you an idea, if you thought he was struggling, he's most definitely not. He's pulling the gap now.
The team manager of that McLaren, Harry George, Luca Hopkinson's car, is being summoned to race control. That tends not to end well. So number 17 McLaren has done something. Is that for track limits possibly? Either way, at the moment, second in class and having to defend from Jack Mitchell. So there's a story about number 17.
It is track limits, 4th warning, so it's slam dunk drive through. It should be anyway.
I think you're right. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And remember, that's for the car, not an individual driver. So between them, they have racked them up. So number 17 then could be bound for a penalty, and that will help Jack Mitchell because he'll be able to inherit the place. Up front though, Mark Warren and Jack Brown, they won at Donington. They were second at Silverstone, looking as though a second win of the season is going to come their way. And look at the gap they've managed to pull, while here Harry George is trying to defend second place.
if you're Optimum, you can wait 3 laps before serving that drive-through. So I think you would use George here to basically stop Mitchell catching Brown for the overall win. So could be some team tactics going on here. Although the 17 cars race is effectively over, they can still be used to benefit the team.
Yeah, very much the case, isn't it? And Jack Mitchell frustrated there. Yeah, 3 passings of the timing line before you've got to take that penalty. Onto the Lakeside straight goes that 2nd and 3rd GT4 battle. Harry George defending nicely. Lead gap overall in GT3 down a little bit to half a second. Jack Mitchell to the outside line there, trying to line up a move. Harry George defending well, take nothing away from him. The penalty might be coming, but he is driving very well, keeping 2nd place right now. The race leaders split by half a second in GT3. Hugo Cook looking really strong right now, and also looking as though potentially a maiden win in a GT3 car in British GT could be going his way. What have we got left? Just under 10 minutes. Time has flown by.
It has, when you're having fun, but it's strange. Cook, 33.8 2 laps ago, and then last lap 34.9. I don't know if he caught traffic, but that is not very consistent. Maybe he made a mistake, but it's allowed Gertz to get right on the back of him now.
Yeah, I can't think where the traffic would be, because we've not had that many laps after that safety car. Rob Collard looks on nervously. Double champion in British GT. Once with Sandy Mitchell, once with his son Ricky, who is here. He's doing driver coaching and cheering on Dad, as Ricky will do.
17, car 1717, drive-through penalty for not respecting track limits, car 17.
That's the Harry George, Luca Hopkinson McLaren. There it is, and as James said, it's a slam dunk. You top them up on the track limit offences, and a drive-through penalty comes. So the penalty has been issued, and now there are 3 passings of the timing line once the penalty appears on the timing screen before it has to be served. So that does mean it can be a spoiler for 2 or 3 more laps to keep that Lotus at bay.
Exactly that, and I think that has effectively banked the race win for Brown in the championship leading McLaren. So they're going to bag 25 points and pull 25 points on the Century Motorsport BMW, which is an absolute killer if you're Century.
Fastest lap of the race, Sven Müller in the Porsche with a clear racetrack ahead of him. There is Johnny Adam, who has a clear racetrack ahead of him, but the pace now puts him onto the fastest lap. So out of nowhere, Johnny Adam is able to find a lap. It takes the fastest lap away from Sven Müller. So they're trading the best lap of the race. Johnny Adam has dropped 2.2 seconds off the back of Maxi Gertz, but all of a sudden the Aston has come alive.
Where's that pace been? Do you know what I mean? Like they stick new tyres on at the pit stop. Why has he waited 10 laps to do that? That's 2 tenths quicker than the race lap record. So his Aston has come alive. But yeah, the gap for the lead is tiny. So Gertz really putting the pressure on Cook now.
And Maxi Gertz knows that he doesn't have many chances. He's got to arrive. He's got to really terrorise Hugo Cook out of the way. Where is that Mercedes AMG strong? Well, it's well suited to Oulton Park, but we're not talking about tiny little cars that can dart left and right and find a gap. These are big beasts, and it's not the widest of circuits.
Yes, and look at this, traffic coming into the mix as well. So if this is badly timed for Cook, this could be the opening that Gertz needs. And we saw earlier in GT4, if you put the pressure on, the driver ahead can make a mistake around Oulton Park. There's just no margin for error, so let's see what happens.
Maxi Gertz, as a GT racer and as a DTM racer, has been there, done it, seen it. He's got wardrobes full of the T-shirts. Hugo Cook, relative novice in comparison to Maxi Gertz. Let's see what he can do to fend him off. Down they come. Year after year after year, we get star drivers from the Mercedes AMG ranks. We've had Raffaele Marciello, we've had Jules Gounon. Second season, we're looking at Maxi Gertz. Now he's going to take on Hugo Cook on his home soil. Hugo Cook lives within 10 miles of the circuit. He comes then now down through Old Hall Corner with Johnny Adam, having on that lap clawed back the best part of a second. Johnny Adam, all of a sudden, he's going gangbusters.
2 laps in a row quicker than the race lap record. Where has that pace been? But he's still in it. There's still time to make something happen. But, you know, just over 5 minutes, it might be too late.
And the danger is he gets stuck anyway, because, again, with the trouble of overtaking around here, he might arrive on the back of Maxi Gertz, and then what? He gets a bit stuck. So Hugo Cook is still in the pound seat. He might be under attack from a factory driver, but he has the ability to control the pace and to defend, knowing that it ain't easy around here to overtake. Maxi Gertz is going to have to really dig deep in his book of creative overtakes to find a way through.
Yeah, it'd be quite an overtake from there, to be fair, wouldn't it? But
yeah, he's not near enough now, is he?
Yeah, but Cook's not putting a foot wrong, to be fair. He's not made any mistakes that we've seen anyway, and that's all he's got to do. He hasn't got to be too fast. You need a massive delta to overtake round here. Just don't make a mistake and the win will be theirs.
Well, indeed, as the leaders then power up Clay Hill once again. This is lap 29. We've got just over 5.5 minutes of race 1 of 2 in British GT at Oulton Park, the annual visit to the Cheshire Circuit. And down in the dry conditions to Lodge Corner comes then Hugo Cook.
Just keeping an eye on Jewis with that penalty. Where would that put them now? That would be P9, P10 overall. So that's a big hit in the championship. So a great day so far for Barwell. Oh, this is a drive-through penalty for 17. It is, yes.
Yeah, that's for the
40 kilometres an hour. You can see on the dash there. That is an absolute killer.
The irony, just going back to the Cian Jewis penalty, is that it still wouldn't drop him behind Simon Orange.
Wow.
So it drops him down the order, but they still stay ahead of the car that they made contact with to earn the penalty.
Life's not fair, is it?
Makes you think, doesn't it? Right now, this is for the race lead. Hugo Cook just ahead of Maxi Goetz. You can see in the background how the barrier took a big beating from that Ravi Ramgid BMW. So Maxi Goetz now has to make the call. Do I bank the points for the championship or do I go for the race win? Well, his customer, his AM, Kevin Say, who's been a winner here with Tom Onslow Cole, would like another win, that is for sure. Down they come towards Hislops, more traffic up the road. And look at Johnny Adam in third place, getting closer all the time.
Yeah, this is badly timed traffic for the Lamborghini, but you can see the Mercedes in Sector 2 is just visibly quicker. But now, the Lambo will pull on it through Druids, through the last corner, through turn 1. And it's just the same thing every lap. And, this Lotus, I think it's going to hold the Lambo up. Oh, this could be it.
Let's see, because as they come now through Druids, nose to tail, the pair of them. Maxi Goetz gets a little bit boxed in. Hugo Cook finds the inside line. Johnny Adam is closing as well. Maxi Goetz right in the wheel tracks then as they come down towards Lodge. Johnny Adam can't clear the Lotus. Goetz did, and he's going to come out of dear lead almost on the back then as they power their way over the timing line with 3 3/4 minutes to go. But the Lamborghini always seems to have the answer, doesn't it? Because even coming over the line, it just stretched slightly. Not only is Johnny Adam catching up, he's taking the penalised Cian Jewis with him.
Cook got away with that, to be fair. The traffic was really unlucky, but somehow Goetz wasn't able to take advantage of it. But this McLaren GT4 in front is going to hold these cars up, going through Island Bend, going through Shell, the banked right. Let's see what happens here.
Rob's all smiles. Rob Collard, as Maxi Goetz then comes up to the sort of mini carousel, going back to the Nordschleife reference. For third place, Johnny Adam with Cian Jewis behind him. Jewis doing what he's got to do. Push, 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 push. Try and overcome that 10-second penalty in the back marker. Gets between the top two. That's blown it for Goetz, hasn't it? There's nothing that Jack Brown did wrong in all of that. He had to take the line for the corner. It was just wrong place, wrong time as far as Goetz was concerned.
Yeah, sod's law. Sometimes it fools you. But Dawson going for a late lunge on the GT4 there, but got away with it. So Dawson right on the, Jewis back on the right on the back of Adam. So despite the penalty, he's looking to make some moves.
Absolutely right. You almost need a Joker lap here, don't you, just to sort of give a bit of breathing space and for the order to shuffle, because these big GT3 cars do not find it easy to pass, as we've been saying. But that is not to suggest for a moment that Maxi Goetz or Johnny Adam are not trying hard. Hugo Cook has done an exemplary job. I reckon he's got 2 more laps that he can wring out of this race. As you look there at Sam Neary, behind him is Sandy Mitchell, behind him is Sven Muller. So you've got a Lamborghini and a Porsche factory driver together. Now it's Sandy Mitchell that's got to get past Jack Brown, who is your GT4 leader, don't forget, doing a really, really good job. And he's ahead of Jack Mitchell. The gap between those two is 3.8 seconds, and Mitchell lapped over a second quicker last time. So he's going to get close by the end, but I think Jack Mitchell will just run out of time. But it's going to be a very close run thing in GT4. That's the leader.
Sven Muller, 33.3 a couple of laps ago. That's 5/10 quicker than the race lap record before this race started. That is insane.
So you've got the cars in the hands of the factory drivers or the higher graded drivers, but also a fuel load that's coming down, haven't you? So the cars are getting a bit lighter, that little bit quicker. But Hugo Cook just in quotes, has to bring it home, because Maxi Goetz hasn't been able to find a way of unsettling him. He hasn't found an answer to the pace, to the driving of the #1 Lamborghini. Cian Jewis fancies his chances of getting third place on the road. But look at the traffic behind, because there you've got Neary, you've got Mitchell, you've got Muller. He's going to fall behind those cars on corrected times.
Yeah, there you go. Sven Muller, 33.3 on the board there. But just worth looking at the track map, and there is not going to be any more GT4 traffic for Cook or Goetze. So unless there's no mistake from the Lamborghini, this is it.
So Maxi Goetz has got one more lap in which he can challenge for the race lead, and he's dropped back, hasn't he? Almost suggesting that he's settling for the points now. He's had a go, he's been unable to find a way by. So Hugo Cook could be on target for a maiden British GT win. Johnny Adam there goes through, number 14 BMW, 16th overall, leading the silver element of GT4. This is Brandon Templeton and Chris Solkeld's car.
Yeah,
let's go back to that fastest lap.
Yes, it is a new Pirelli tyre this year as well.
Yeah.
And it's worth saying as well, these GT3s year on year get quicker as they get updated by the manufacturers. So I suppose it's not too much of a surprise to see a race lap record, but still, half a second quicker is impressive.
It is absolutely impressive, and Pirelli will be impressed by that as well, because they do all the work to make a new tyre, but it's only when drivers start to bring back the times and the data that they get a real idea of how much faster it is, how well it's working. You're on board number 17 then. This is Harry George, who in GT4 now is 4th and 2nd in silver. So it has cost them a little bit in terms of a class lead, but it could have been a lot worse. As for the last time race leaders come down towards Hislop's, Hugo Cook has driven really impressively here. He knew he was in for a fight against Maxi Goetz, but he's not put a wheel wrong.
Yeah, fantastic drive, really good under pressure, rock solid, didn't put a foot wrong, as you say, and providing the next 3 corners are good, it's going to be another win for Barwell at Oulton.
Absolutely, because they've got a great strike rate here, and they'll notch up yet another win. Mark Lemmer's team, you're looking there at the fight between the other Barwell Lamborghini of Sandy Mitchell and Sven Muller in Stuart Parker's Porsche. But down towards Lodge Corner for the final time, it is going to be a win for Lamborghini, for Barwell Motorsport, for Rob Collard, the reigning champion, and it is going to be a first British GT win for Hugo Cook at his home circuit. A delighted man brings the car home, the winner. Hugo Cook, Rob Collard win race 1 at Oulton Park. Second goes to Maxi Goetz and Kevin Say. Johnny Adam and Giacomo Petrobelli take 3rd. The Nearys are 4th. Mitchell and Martin are 5th. Muller and Jones are 6th. Griffin and Cameron 7th. Kirchhofer and Tilbrook 8th. Jewis and Dawson take 9th, ahead of Callum McLeod and Mike Price, with GT4 being won there by Jack Brown and Mark Warren. Jack Mitchell and Stephen Lake are going to take 2nd, and Chris Solkeld and Brandon Templeton here in the BMW are going to take 3rd place, and we're understanding from the pit lane that a lot of work is going to be needed on the BMW of Ravi Ramyeed and Charlie Robertson. The chassis is damaged, we understand, so they are starting to lean towards not being out for race 2. But a very happy Rob Collard can celebrate a race 1 victory. Hugo Cook's dad, Peter Cook, himself a very successful GT racer going back quite a few years, mainly in Porsches, never at this level, but in club level GT racing in Porsches, very proudly can see Hugo take a race win here. And yeah, Barwell, Oulton Park, it's just the perfect fit.
Almost perfect fit, yeah, indeed. And how crucial was that turn 1, lap 1? You know, he looked like he'd fluffed the start, but was brave on the brakes, very forceful to Petrobelli, but that was the difference. Yeah. If he ended up being behind Petrobelli on the exit of turn 1, I don't think they would have won this.
Let's look at the results then of race 1 at Oulton Park. Your category winners, outright and Pro-Am in GT3, Hugo Cook and Rob Collard, Silver Am, Chun Chung Ip and Luke Garlick. In GT4, that was a win for Mark Warren and Jack Brown. They also won in Pro-Am. Silver won by Chris Solkeld and Brandon Templeton. So let's have a look at the order. We've got Rob Collard and Hugo Cook victorious by just under a second from Kevin Say and Maxi Goetz, Giacomo Petrobelli and Johnny Adam taking 3rd. 4th to Richard and Sam Neary, Alex Martin and Sandy Mitchell 5th, and 6th, and a new lap record, Sven Muller with Nick Jones. Duncan Cameron and Matt Griffin were 7th, ahead of Marvin Kirchhofer and Morgan Tilbrook. Charles Dawson and Cian Jewis penalised, but 9th, Callum McLeod and Mike Price 10th. Look to 14th, you find Jack Brown and Mark Warren, GT4 winners from Jack Mitchell and Stephen Lake. 3rd and winning silver in GT4, Chris Solkeld and Brandon Templeton. So we had 21 starters, we had 19 finishers, but we are understanding that the damage Ravi Ramyeed's BMW has suffered is going to keep that out of race 2, which will be very disappointing indeed with chassis damage. The cars making their way to the teams, in other cases making their way into Parc Fermé, which is where the scrutineers need the top 3 in each of the categories. There's the GT4 winning Optimum Motorsport McLaren. Coming in, Jack Brown, reigning champ, of course, in GT4. Mark Warren, his co-driver for this year. And the pit lane officials directing the cars they require for scrutineering into the pot ferme area. Maxi Goetz says well done to Hugo Cook. Maxi Goetz bringing home the points, but still kind of surprised in a way that he didn't make life harder for Hugo and really stick his nose in a bit more and try and unsettle him. But maybe had that been race 2 with greater repair time on the other side of it, you could argue that that's exactly what Maxi would have done. But these drivers will start the second race, and Maxi Goetz starts that from pole position.
He does, but he's now got 7 seconds worth of compensation time with a pit stop, which is why I think that the Sandy Mitchell car, who starts second in that race, is the favourite to win that race. So it could be a Barwell double today.
Yeah, because that car won't have any extra success time. Well, it's a win for Rob Collard and a maiden British GT win for local hero Hugo Cook, and they're with Bryn.
Yeah, indeed. He got at the car, looked very composed there, Hugo. Inside, you must be buzzing. Tell me you are.
Yeah, I was just counting down the laps really at the end. But to be honest, it was so nice to drive the car all stint. I felt really comfortable. Since the first test, it's just felt mega, the car. So yeah, it's thanks to the team and to Rob for a mega start and a quali yesterday. So yeah.
I said to you before that you've had 2 6s and being composed and getting these decent results is good, and then you come out and put your first win in British GT there at your home circuit. So it's all gone very nicely. Set yourselves up nicely for race number 2.
Yeah, obviously now we're going into race 2. We've got the pit stop penalty, so it's going to be a bit tricky and starting further back. But we'll see what we can do. Hopefully there's a bit of changeable weather which might mix it up. So yeah, we're looking to get back up there.
Puts you in a very, very good position there for race number 2, and you've done so well. Congratulations.
Cheers.
Well done, Hugo Cook. Well done, Rob Collard. Take nothing away from Rob, who did that good first stint and was able to maintain that advantage. Just to catch up on a bit of admin, the full course yellow procedure of the Nearies was being looked at. No further action, so that's all good. That means they retain their 4th place. Super slow-mo there of a curb-hopping Lamborghini. So a win for Hugo Cook and Rob Collard. Second to Kevin Say and Maxi Goetz. Let's rejoin Bryn.
Moving up the order is always the way to go, isn't it, out here? And a decent result for you both. And Maxi, and I'll come to you in a second, but you pushed Hugo right at the very end. Kevin, a decent stint for you, though.
Yeah, definitely a good, solid race result for us, finally. Stint 1 was pretty close with all the Ams, but yeah, I managed to hang on. And then, of course, Maxi very close to the end. Yeah, it's a good battle.
So hard to overtake around here, isn't it, Maxi? But you did all you could to get past Hugo.
Yeah, I tried really hard to push him in the mistake, but he was not doing it. So in the end, he did also a great job staying in front. As you said, it's hard to overtake here on this track, and in the end, we are starting pole next race, and we need some quali laps to get enough gap because of this penalty now. We have the 7 seconds in the second race because of P2 now. So in the end, balance is good. We try to maximize our package today. Most points we got so far this year. So in the end, good step forward for us.
Need some quali laps. It's you that's got to do them. So good luck. Well done.
Thank you. Thanks,
It's a good point Maxi Goetz makes, actually, because he could have put everything in jeopardy for a race win. Yeah, OK, more points, but then a longer pit stop, whereas he knows he should be in the lead, really, when he gets to the pit stops, and with a slightly shorter stop for being second than if you'd have been a winner. So maybe there was some thinking there about not risking everything and looking forward to the next race. Let's get back to Bryn. Johnny Adam, third with Giacomo Petrobelli.
Indeed, I spoke to Giacomo during the race and he was a bit disappointed with turn 1 with the contact that pushed you back a bit. Johnny, at the very end though, where did that pace come from? It was like lightning, 2 fastest laps I saw back to back.
Yeah, car's good. It's been great all weekend. We've got good balance on the car. We did suffer, to be fair, a little bit when the oil went down from the accident at Shell. We really suffered for the first 3 or 4 laps, but when that cleared, we seemed to gather loads of pace. So controlled it a little bit at the end, but yeah, overall, great to get a podium. We had 5 seconds extra there, so good hollow points today.
And it also means when it comes to race 2, you do have pit stop compensation time, but it is the minimum, like you say. What can you do looking ahead to race 2 without even thinking about race 1 and having some congratulations for that?
But look, we'll just try and do a clean race, do a good pit stop. The weather might play a part in it. You just don't know. It looks like it might have a little bit of rain this afternoon, so it'll be exciting for sure.
Rain dances may be happening. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A 9th win for Barwell here with the Lamborghini Huracan and the Lamborghini's 10th win in 19 attempts. What does this do to the championship? It gives the championship lead at the moment to Charles Dawson and Cian Dewis from Hugo Cook. Remember, he's had different co-drivers in earlier events, so he's on his own ahead of Morgan Tilbrook and Marvin Kirchhofer. Alex Martin is fourth. He's had a couple of co-drivers this year. Kevin Say and Maxi Gertz now are in fifth. And don't forget, we've got another race to come this afternoon. Well, as ever, lots of drama in the GT4 category as well. And although disappointment for Ravi Ramyud and Century, delight for Optimum Motorsport. Mark Warren and Jack Brown take the win. They're with Bryn.
Yeah, no one really likes to get a race win in those sorts of situations. It wasn't exactly like that for you both, though, was it? I mean, looking at what happened to Ravi earlier on, it's a tricky thing to see. It was a big collision there, but for you both, first or second seems to be the story of your season.
Yeah. First of all, obviously, hope Ravi's okay. It looked a pretty big shunt. It just got really tight when the leaders were coming through. We were obviously at the front of G4. We were absolutely pushing flat out at the start, and the gap, obviously, I was trying to keep within 3 seconds, so it was very tight. So it was, we were all absolutely flat, and it was just a shame that it, that happened.
Jack, you know how to win championships now, don't you? So this is setting itself up quite nicely. Have I jinxed it?
Well, I'm not sure if you jinxed it, but we've still got a lot to do, until we can win again. We've obviously, it's not over between us and the BMW. It's going to carry on like that all year, I think. Obviously, I hope them guys are okay. But yeah, it's that's part of racing, isn't it?
Make hay when the sun shines, though. Well done, both.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, another really good job done by Jack Brown and Mark Warren, and it's a real shame that the Ravi Ramyud BMW has suffered that damage, not only because of the question mark over race 2, but because he was doing such a good job up to that point. We've been praising him for not making mistakes and how well the car was going, but it shows just how quickly things can change and how quickly he was caught out. So Pro-Am as well as overall GT4 wins for Jack Brown and Mark Warren. We have the second placed team for GT4 as well after a really good drive, Jack Mitchell and Stephen Lake. Let's rejoin Bryn down with winning drivers.
6th to 2nd, it's a pretty good story.
Yeah, to be fair, Jack did most of the work. A few accidents on the track, but yeah, it was good fun. It's a hard track to get around. It's very sort of close and small for GT cars, so we sort of kept pace with people, stayed where we were, kept the car sort of comfortable. And then luckily sort of someone went off, gave us a full course shower, so we timed it right for pits and stuff to knowing we're going to get back up there. Then Jack had the race at the end, so fair play.
You mentioned how tight and twisty it is. It's also very hard when you have the GT3s leaping all over the back of you, Jack, but you managed to stay composed and bring the car home, and it's great to see the Lotus get a decent result.
Yeah, no, over the moon with it. We knew we had really good pace, and that's why I was so desperate to try and get past that first McLaren. And once we cleared that, I had some really good, strong pace, but obviously the GT3's caught up, like you mentioned, and it was just trying to manage that gap. But I tried to use my indicator and get out in the best possible positions, but I think he did the same job, so good job from them, and just really happy to finish on the podium and get that first podium of the year.
Yeah, exactly. Well, congratulations, well, and go and enjoy it for a short period of time.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, short period of time. Race 2, not that far away. That is going to be coming up at 10 minutes to 4. Right, let's have a look at the championship, because Mark Warren and Jack Brown are the GT4 overall leaders. Point less after that race. Ravi Ramyud and Charlie Robertson second. Brandon Templeton and Chris Solkeld are third. Ed McDermott, Seb Morris come next. They're absent because they're only doing the endurance races. Harry George and Luca Hopkinson then have a chance come the end of the day to gain a place. Jamie Oulton and Will Burns are sixth, and they are also absent. They're only doing the endurance rounds. John Curry, Phil Keane, just a quick word, also sadly not here. That car damaged in a day at Spa recently. But we have there the drivers on the GT3 podium. Top step for Rob Collard and Hugo Cook. It is another victory here, a ninth for Barwell with that Lamborghini Huracan, and a great job done. GT3 race winners, Rob Collard and local boy Hugo Cook. Race 1 at Oulton Park began with Rob Collard on pole position. Giacomo Petrobelli on his outside. Petrobelli nosed into the lead, but then contact between the two at Old Hall Corner forced Petrobelli wide, and there was more drama lower back in the pack, and Andrew Howard picked up a puncture and suffered damage as well. There was a spin for Morgan Tilbrook, who rotated his McLaren coming out of the Hislop chicane. And also in drama, Simon Orange's McLaren tagged into a spin by Charles Dawson, for which the Mercedes would cop a 10-second penalty. There was plenty of battling going on in GT3 as the leaders had to work their way through the GT4 traffic. But a charging Mark Warren put himself ahead of his teammate, which was the Luca Hopkinson McLaren. GT4 being led by Ravi Ramyi, but as he tried to let the GT3 cars go through, he got onto the marbles, got onto the grass, and had a big whack into the wall. That triggered a full course yellow into a safety car. It meant that the GT3 drivers bailed for the pits, and although there was no real change in the order, it gave us Hugo Cook with Maxi Goetz right on his tail for the resumption of the race. Hugo Cook was able to control the restart. He was able to hang on to the advantage all the way to the end as Matt Griffin and Sven Muller battled. Ferrari versus Porsche, two great GT brands together. Harry George was taking over number 17, but the car got a drive-through for track limit offences, gifting the easier win to Jack Brown and Mark Warren in GT4, a second victory of the season, but a first win in GT3 for Hugo Cook, the first victory for the partnership of Hugo Cook and Rob Collard, and yet another win for Barwell Motorsport, who are all smiles after race one of the British GT Championship at Oulton Park.